Hi everyone, thanks for clicking through. We're here today with Mark Cameron, the current president of the Bayswater Bowling and Recreation Club. I'm Steve Lay, Managing Director of Lay2 Real Estate, for those that don't know me. And we're going to be having chats with local business people, sporting clubs, just people in general about what's going on in the community of Bayswater and thereabouts, or the city of Bayswater with the COVID, and how it's affecting people on a day-to-day basis. So, Mark, thanks very much for joining us this afternoon. Really appreciate your time.
Welcome, Steve. Thanks for thinking of us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Having been involved with the bowling club before, it's probably my first port of call to find out how it's going down there. I mean, with all that's going on, what's the social impact been like?
Look, yeah, absolutely, Steve. Thanks. Certainly, the world's changed since we last saw each other at the AGM, which was only recent. The social impact for us was pretty significant, and especially for the bowling community themselves. Obviously, a lot of them being retirees coming to the club, on a Wednesday and a Friday and a Sunday, penance. It was a way of life. So for them, in fact, they were probably towards the end when we announced the closure. They were probably, in their eyes, they were shocked and were really a bit bewildered of what this sort of means to them.
Yeah, bit of self-isolation that they hadn't really counted on, because the bowling club is a home to them, and they do spend a bit of time down there. There's very varying amounts of time depending on the members themselves, but there are a crew down there that come constantly all the time. I'd say I've seen some of them down there every day. I mean, they're that passionate about the place. Are they still? I mean, how are they travelling mentally? Are they reaching out to you at all?
Look, to be honest, no. I mean, and from a technology perspective, we're probably going to have to try and get them online and get on Zoom so we can actually connect with them. And it's probably an important thing, Steve. I think there's lots of people I know in our business life, even people from working from home. Whilst it sounds great, but the isolation certainly has an impact.
Yeah, definitely. It's challenging, especially if you're not used to being isolated, and you do look forward to coming down to the club. But also roller hockey. I mean, that's a fairly big part of the club as well. I mean, have you heard anything from them at all? Or?
Yeah, look, I did, and I guess even since we closed, a bit of call out said, what about? And this was before we had the next level of restrictions placed. But we did make a call on that, on the basis to say, listen, we're probably better off being on the careful side and,
Sure.
and encourage us to stay home. So I guess they're in a similar position to the bowlers,
Yeah.
albeit sort of younger generation can actually keep in touch with Facebook and Instagram.
Knowing those guys and girls, have probably come up with some inventive way to keep busy. Probably online roller hockey or something. I don't know what they'll come up with, but they're pretty clever.
PlayStation or something.
So what about? I know there was a few fundraisers that you had lined up at the club to help out with different groups. How they've been cancelled?
Yeah, look. The timing certainly for us as a club, couldn't have been any worse. We, as you know, we've had a real mini resurgence in the last 2 or 3 months. Since October, November,
Yes.
with the the events that we had a number of bookings. Bingo. We had the Bogan Bingo Night, which was all funds to the Cancer Council. We also had the Motown Night, which was one of our first sort of big events, and we've had to cancel that as well. So from our perspective, we had a good run of bookings and events, for the community. That was really, disappointing that, we had to put an end to all that.
Yeah, and I think that's as volunteers trying to keep the wheels turning at the club, those events are really important. So, Friday nights were always a night where there was turnover generated to help keep the club going. There's also the community, I believe. The Wednesday nights has got quite active. So a lot of those people, I mean, they can't turn up anymore. And basically the club's been closed down. I mean, apart from, I suppose, your, how can I say it, your creativity
Look, yeah, we're down to 2 men, so yeah, we've been doing a little bit of work here and there. You know, a couple of us coming down just to volunteer at a time. Obviously, we just started the outdoor area and the children's play area, so we've made some good gains there, and I guess from our perspective, we're a little bit concerned now from a revenue stream perspective. We've had to be a little bit careful of what we can do, and I guess cash is king, so we need to tighten the purse.
Yeah. The I suppose that leads into the financial impact. I mean, how's the club travelling? I mean, is it this could go on. I mean, you hear ScoMo talking 6 months, but some people are touting 12, 18 months. I mean, how does the club go if it's a 12, 18 month situation?
Look, on one hand, we're fortunate because we're largely driven by volunteers. However, we have got a handful of paid staff, and unlucky for us, because it is very part-time. So, you don't normally get long-termers, but, we've got one staff member who we are going to retain, and obviously the government support will go a long way towards, keeping them gainfully employed. But there are the people, the contractors around that. I guess from our perspective, we've got a bookkeeper that does 1 day a week. We really need that's going to continue on. We still need to do BAS statements and the like. So I'm concerned about that. And we have to keep the greenkeeper on board. So he's a contractor as well. So I'm not sure we get any support for that, but we can't let that go by the wayside. So there are some ongoing fixed costs in our business that it is a business that we've got to be now looking at ways to try and get the trick of charger still in the system.
Yeah. Well, I think ScoMo quoted hibernation as a key word, and I personally don't like that. I think that's hibernation is probably a little bit too strong. I think there should be activity. People need to support the community as much as they can, even if it's at a lower level. I don't think hibernation, just people just going into hibernation, really works. Even businesses, I think you've got to get creative. But how's with the city of Bayswater? I mean, have they reached out to you at all? With in terms of obviously not the only club in the city of Bayswater, but I'm wondering if they've actually reached out to you in any way at all.
Look, certainly not officially. I guess from our perspective, it's something that we will we'll get on the front foot there and actually make some inquiries. Obviously we've got a payment due in June that we're mindful of, and no doubt we'll have a conversation about that.
Sure.
But I agree with you, Steve. I think I don't like hibernation either. I think we've got to do a few whatever little we can whilst being sensible about it, to try and think outside the square, and like I said, we can inject a little bit of revenue in the system. And there's some ideas, obviously, that's come out of this takeaway concept we've had over the last couple of weeks. Yeah,
I've heard about that. Tell us more about that. That's the Growlers, the beer, supporting breweries, and how does that work? Yeah,
look, we started. I mean, it all started with us. Obviously, we had a fair stock of kegs of our own, that were opened, and we rather than tip it down the sink, we thought we would open it up to our members to come and grab a bargain, and it's great. Shane and Lynn have been running that program for 3 days or 3 nights. We did it for a couple of hours. Very strict, obviously, conditions in regards to entry and social distancing. But what we thought may work actually has proven to be pretty good, and it's amazing how many people have growlers out there, Steve.
I didn't know what a growler. Oh, I've heard the word growler, but in terms of the beer sets, I'd never heard of it. So tell us about that.
Well, I bought my first one just the other day. So look, it is obviously, I think 1.89 litres if you're going to be really technical about it, and a squealer is about 1 litre.
Oh, squealer. Okay.
Yeah, but the breweries, obviously the craft breweries around, have been on that, have been sort of doing that. We've had a great turnout, actually. We've been actually quite stunned in regards to the turnouts that we've had, and that's got us thinking now that could we rather than just have that as a clear the stock. Could that be a little source of income for us?
Sure.
If we do it right, we do it properly. Interestingly, we've had some interest from breweries, Lucky Bay in particular down in Esperance. Been talking to Nigel, and those guys are hit pretty hard, relying on people travelling in and out of Esperance, and he's reached out, and we're going to workshop a potential a night to help him and help us. It's a win-win. So look out on our Facebook page and for some details. But if we can do that and reach out to regular suppliers, Nail's been really good to us, obviously, and Liquor Stacks as well. So, and the Biab Tavern. So we've got a few people that we've been thinking about. And again, if it works for the community, works for us as a club, and we can do it within the constraints of, what's been put out there, we're certainly going to explore that.
Yeah, okay, that's really interesting. When thinking outside the square, I mean, as a business, as a real estate company, we've had to do the same. We're looking at, we've started a promotion, which is, I think, outside the square. We've started a promo where that if you list and sell your property and settle it before June 30, 2021, which is a fair way off, but we don't know how long this is going to be running for, but you have it with our company. If you list and sell and settle before the 30th of June, you actually end up with a chance to win $250,000.
That's awesome. Yep.
We're going big. If you buy a property through us as well, same time frame, and settle, you have a chance to win $100,000 and property management. So we're on the front foot doing what we probably wouldn't have done in a normal market, in an abnormal market, to try and say, hey, if you're going to do the business, do it with us. So, like the community, if you're looking to have a beer, or you want to spend a bit of money locally to keep things going, the Growler idea is a great idea if you want craft beers. I mean, do you do normal brewery beers, or is it just the craft beers?
Look, we will. I mean, it's important that we can. I mean, we've got to sort of pitch for a particular, segment, and I guess whilst it seems, and again, based on what we've had recently, people are after something a bit unusual or crafty, but
Sure.
There are those members that have come in and actually we've done a reasonable trade on something normal.
I'm sorry to butt in. I'm just thinking that the hubby's probably thinking, well, maybe the wife, I don't know. It's going to grab the Growler and shoot down to the Bayswater Bowling Club and get it filled up just to get out of the home. I mean, that's just a nice walk. You don't have to drive. You can walk down, and you can pick up a Growler of brewery, craft brewery beer.
Hey, look, you don't need a Growler. We've had 1.25 litre Coke bottles.
Is that right?
We've had all sorts of different types of containers arrive. So it's
responsible drinking.
Don't have to be fancy.
Out swigging the bottle on the way out.
Look, true, and that's been on our mind as well. It's really important, from our perspective. It's not about we've got to have that in the forefront of our mind. But Stephen, obviously the food vans are the other thing.
Yeah,
we've really been thinking about them. They've been really, supportive of us in the last 3 or 4 months. And I'm going to reach out to the association and see how their members are travelling. And again, if that's something we can do to help them, without us, we don't want to certainly be risky about it. But if we can help them and take away for the community, just come and grab and go. That's another avenue that we'll certainly explore.
Yeah, I noticed. Tablespoon down on King William Street was doing burgers on Friday night, and there was quite a crowd of people standing in King William Street. It wasn't huge, but it was very noticeable that people were waiting to get their orders from there. So I think it's just a nice way for the community to support local business, and the same with the food vans are, even though they might not come from Bayswater essentially, but they're still part of the fabric of what you do at the bowling club. And if that can work, I mean, if they're going to be there on a Friday night, they can still do the social distancing, come and get the food. Maybe there'll be a line, someone can, put the phone number out for the van so they can ring up in advance and they don't have to stand around too long. I'm not quite sure how you would work it out, but I think it's important to support the vendors, because they're probably doing it pretty tough, I'd imagine, same as every other club. And I don't know whether there's any other bowling clubs out there going to be watching this, or just clubs in general, but it's you've got to put your thinking caps on for sure.
Sure, and we encourage that, and it's not just all about us. It's about giving other clubs, ideas, and some have reached out to us in regards to, how we've been able to do it. Obviously, we've got approval. We've always had a takeaway license, but approval from RGL and the police is one of the criteria we had to have to go through. So we ticked that box. So, and again, we've got the room, Steve. As you live close by, so the location of it, the available room around the parkland. So we're probably in a better position than some of these takeaway places that are in the main street. So look, if we can do it and it works and we can do it safely, then it's on the table for discussion.
I think maybe if the community, if they're watching this at some point, maybe reach out to the club and let the club know if they're interested in in that sort of takeaway food on a Friday night, something similar. They could pop down and grab some takeaway food, grab a growler or a squealer, and walk back home. There's a big park there. Mind you can't drink in the park, but
no, we don't recommend that, Steve.
No, we don't recommend that. But you could walk back home quite easily, take the kids for a walk. Something else, I just while I'm doing the interview, we were talking about the City of Bayswater before. I'd actually really like to have a chat to Dan Ball, sort of the Mayor and the West Ward Councillor, about what's happening from the City of Bayswater's perspective with the COVID-19. So Dan, if you end up watching this, shout out to you and the City of Bayswater. We'd love to get you on and have an interview. I'm sure the community would love to know what's going on. So yeah, just email me, phone me. But Mark, it's been great having you on. I really, really appreciate it. And Mark Cameron, current president of the Bayswater Bowling and Recreation Club. You've done 2 years now. You've done a super job, fantastic job. And I'm Steve Lay, Managing Director of Lay2 Real Estate Bayswater. I thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch up with you. If you have any questions, fire them in, and we'll get them answered for you. And if you know anybody that wants to come on and be interviewed within the community, put their story across, Lay2 Real Estate 9371 1000. Happy to get you on and put you forward to the community. Mark, thank you, and we'll catch up with you soon. All right, ciao for now.
Thanks. All the best. Bye.